Welcome to At the Nurses Station, a podcast for nurses about everything except the patients. I'm Sam. This is Kelly.
Hi.
Hi. We are wanting to talk about a little heavier of stuff today than we usually do, which I think will be great. But first of all, we just went through a holiday weekend that you did not have to work too much of. So how have the last few days been for you?
It was good. It was a little crazy. My son's birthday is May 27th, so it always falls on Memorial Day weekend. So that was, Tuesday. So all day Sunday and all day Monday was like birthday stuff. We did go out to the lake on Monday. It wasn't too warm, but it was really nice. We took the boat out for the first time and just kind of relaxed. But now I'm back at work, and so I feel a little behind. When you have like 2 days of relaxation and then the rest of your week just kind of piles everything on. So I worked yesterday, I worked today, and then back to bills and laundry and cleaning and all that fun stuff tomorrow. So how was your weekend? You were at work.
I was at work. It was good. It was fun. Holidays can go one of two ways. It's either just total chaos or I would say it's dead, but not in the way that also people can be dead in the way that it's not. I was like, that's not the turn of phrase that I want, but it is. So for the most part, it was really great. I know that we harp on being good at your job. So I'll tell you a little story about how I was not good at my job.
Oh, yes, please.
I was asked by our charge nurse, who's like a friend, to go settle the threefer in this room. This car accident that came in. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. It took a little while. There's a patient in the room. I thought they were coming by ambulance, blah, blah, blah. I got a little sidetracked, did all of the documentation, the triage, assessments, getting them some meds and ordering some stuff, blah, 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 handed it off to the other nurse. CT calls. We're going to have to write you guys up because you didn't follow trauma protocol. I'm like, well, they're not traumas. They didn't meet trauma criteria. I didn't run it as a trauma. And the charge nurse looks at me and is like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I didn't, what? And she's like, no, they were activated as traumas in triage because that's what they told the first nurse. I was like, but you didn't tell me? And she's like, no, I specifically said trauma. And I was like, oh, okay. So, and then she's like, so what did you do with 18? I was like, not a trauma. I just checked them in. She's like, but I told you they had a brain bleed. I was like, yeah. Yeah. I see now what you're saying. I definitely, yes, I will go back chart all of that.
So you got a little task oriented.
I was in a great mood. I was having a good time. It was busy and we were doing fun stuff and we had a great crew that was just really a pleasure to work with. And I was just like, sweet. I'm just checking people in and everybody's going to live and everybody's good to go. And it was totally my bad. And I was just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Well, I don't know. What does that actually do if you don't? I mean, what did they mean by you didn't run the trauma protocol? If it was activated, what would you have done differently?
So
it was activated, right?
Well, that was the problem, is that it was activated, or else I would have just gone about my merry way. But a very good tech of ours activated it, as she should have, as soon as they got there. So, because I had transport take one of the patients to CT.
Okay.
I know. And the doctor said it was fine because I asked and was like, I can take them, but we're kind of busy. So it means your sedation is going to have to wait a second. And she's like, no, they're stable. They can just go with transport, and transport was ready to take them and CT.
Well, so what I hear positive about that story is that everyone lived and
everyone lived. Yes. And his poor little seatbelt sign was no big deal. So just great.
Sam just got humbled just a little bit.
Oh man.
For everyone.
And I felt so, and then management came in, and of course the charge nurse has to talk to management because CT's throwing a fit. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Are we talking about how I did everything wrong last night? Yes. Just check that box off. You can say you already emailed me or talked to me or whatever. I got it.
I got you.
Gotcha. And then I sent a patient to PICU that wasn't supposed to go to PICU.
Wow, you were on a roll.
Now listen, the room was assigned to PICU. The PICU nurse took report. I took the patient up there. Everything was hunky-dory. And then it turned out the intensivist didn't know anything about them. And the doctor was like, well, I didn't want that patient to go to PICU. I'm like, well, you ordered PICU bed. And they seem sort of PICU-ish, like seems reasonable, but I guess I should have double checked. To my credit, they ended up on PICU the next shift. We came back and checked and they were in PICU anyway. But anyway, so sorry. I know that's,
I love it.
Otherwise that was a long story, but yes. We all have our moments, you know?
We sure do. Yeah. Last night, I was in charge and I was telling you it was a little bit of a mess, but it was mostly because one person was getting overly emotional. That might sound like the wrong word, but I'm going to use it because I can't think of anything else. An employee about one specific patient, and it kind of dominated what they were doing while they were like ignoring all their other patients. And so I had to deal with that. And she also is a good friend of ours. And I totally understand like where she was coming from, but that's always hard as a charge nurse. And it kind of leads us into what we want to talk about today is how our job takes an emotional toll on us and how we can actually like experience trauma ourselves due to repeatedly taking care of traumatic or extreme events. And I know you and I have talked a lot about this, and Sam doesn't really believe in PTSD of nursing.
Right. No, you have to give the official name for what you described. I think you need to say that first.
Vicarious trauma.
Yeah. Vicarious
trauma. Yeah. So I am a big believer in vicarious trauma. I've done a lot of research about it. My counselor has worked with me on this, has diagnosed me with PTSD just from our job. And yeah, so the idea behind vicarious trauma is that when you are continuously taking care of dying patients or you see traumatic things, that your brain really reacts as if that trauma is happening to you.
Like you have the same kind of trauma that like the SA patient has, or the like
I think it's the fact that like you have symptoms of PTSD even though the traumatic event did not happen to you. Which I know you have very different emotional responses than the majority of the world. And
well, I had a question. I wasn't about to argue with you. How did I hear it phrased the other day on a podcast that I like? I am interested in exploring the idea of agreeing with you. I'm just see, that's not like bad, right?
I'm going to start saying that to my kids.
Yeah. So because what I do understand is the trauma is trauma that word, but the hit that we take from the job that we do. So we get like a horrible case that is like physical trauma, say like a horrible accident. And I think that just seeing that and experiencing it, that it exists in the world and that we see what happened, that I think takes a toll on us. I'm curious, I guess, how that is different than what you're saying, like a kid that falls out of a 2-story window or the 3rd story or like whatever, like they have a different kind of trauma, but I don't feel like I take on their experience. I take on the emotional weight of having to care for them when they just look horrible. Right.
Right. Yeah. And I think that we're saying the same thing. I think you just
don't
get the terminology.
Okay. No, well, that happens all the time.
So like if I see, let's say an animal attack, right?
Okay. Oh yeah.
That's something really horrible that we do see in the emergency department. We live in an area that has cougars. We have it, we have had like some horrible animal attacks. So when we're taking care of that patient, it's not that like, I think I was attacked by a cougar. It's just that I witnessed something so horrible that it then creates a traumatic experience in my life. So I'm not saying like it's the same, but our brains are wired in a way that we even if we just witness something versus experiencing it, we can have very similar symptoms.
Okay. I understood, because the word vicarious, I mean, really colloquially tends to indicate that you're living through someone else, right? Mm-hmm. So that's sort of what I thought the term was, like, yeah, we have to take care of like a horrible SA. And it's like, well, I'm taking on the same amount of trauma that the actual patient went through. I'm like, no, I don't feel like that at all. Like, I don't.
No, and I think that actually brings up a really good point, because I feel like as nurses, we do that a lot too, where I'm having an emotional response, and instead of validating that, I'm saying, well, but it didn't actually happen to me, so I shouldn't be feeling this way. And I feel like that kind of is also extremely unhealthy, when it's like, yeah, but it didn't happen to me, so I'm just going to push it aside. But what did happen to you is the witnessing of that event. And so I think a lot of nurses or healthcare professionals in general discount what they're feeling. And then that leads into some horrible mental health and behaviors.
Okay. I can see, interested in exploring, agreeing with you. I can sort of, now that I can see, I do think, I mean, just from my worldview and like my religious perspective, there is a toll taken on the observer of, for one, evil, which we see, right? Like actual evil. We see the ramifications of that on the innocent. And then just the state of a fallen world, which is that like bad things happen. And like just horrible, unexplainable tragedy can happen. And I agree that there is a toll placed on those of us that that put ourselves into the intervening space of trying to reset that horror in some way that happened in the physical. Like, we're not therapists. We don't do like the mental or the spiritual. We are just asked to help in the physical. For the most part, I would say. I mean, that's like primarily our job, right? And there's a toll. There's a toll that we take psychologically for wading into that space where we witness really, really ugly things.
Yeah, because we live in a different reality than the majority of the world. I feel like we see and experience things that most people will never see or experience on the level that we do, like daily. And there's consequences to that, both positive and negative. I think it makes us a little more appreciative of what we have and the health of our family, right? Like, I'm so thankful that my child has never had to go through some of the things that I've seen. But yeah, I think it's just this, it's always fascinating to me when people see something on the news and they're like, oh my gosh, did you take care of that kid on the news? I'm like, yeah, that was one of 50 kids that same thing has happened to. Not everything makes it on the news. Like, people don't realize the amount of evil, like you said, that we see, the violence and the abuse and, just really horrible, horrible things, because I feel like general society can't handle seeing that all the time. Like, that would be really depressing news if every day you turned it on and all the horrible things we saw were on the news.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think people outside of healthcare even understand that.
And there's something specifically jarring about it being a child, of course. Right. And I know lots of nurses and healthcare professionals that are like, oh, I can never do children. It's too sad. It's too much. I think that there needs to be some call out given to those that take care of adults too. I mean, obviously there's infinitely more numbers above 18 than below 18. And I think that there's also something about an adult life cut short that is hard to grasp.
Absolutely.
And those that put themselves in a place to really see end of life over and over and over again, I think that can be difficult. That's like a difficult thing to I mean, you're walking through some stuff now. I walked through a similar situation a couple of years ago. And even from having all of the medical knowledge, it's still something that I think as modern people, we just aren't psychologically equipped to handle very well. Again, because we live in a fallen world and perhaps we weren't created originally to do it. But so that I think that those healthcare workers too, they handle a lot that not everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's anyone in healthcare, really any first responders, police officers, firefighters. Like there's a subset of people in this world that deal with things every single day.
Yeah.
That is traumatizing to themselves. And you and I have talked about this too, where this idea of PTSD comes from. Really, I mean, it originated like this thought of soldiers and, coming home and having these horrible episodes of PTSD. And I don't in any way want to compare what we do to what soldiers do, right?
Absolutely.
But one thing that I have learned throughout my own mental health journey is that our brains don't really care how big the traumatic event was. It's really the toll that it takes on us at the moment. So something that like happens to you could be extremely traumatic, but it happened to me. And just depending on where we are in our life, where we are in our maturity, where we are socially, what type of support system we have can affect us very differently. And so I feel like we tend to want to look at our own trauma and like say, well, I shouldn't be feeling like that, or it shouldn't be affecting me that much. But it is, and it's okay. Like we need to accept that and work through that trauma and not like beat ourselves up. And maybe that's just me that does that. I feel like sometimes I feel very strongly emotionally about something, and then I try and downplay it and say, well, buck up. That's your job.
Okay. Can I ask you about the working through it part?
Mm-hmm.
So and I agree with you. I think that, kind of in the way that like pain is, I say, everyone experiences pain differently. So if they say it's a 10 out of 10, then it is a 10 out of 10, and you're not supposed to be judgy about that, which find me a nurse that isn't, because it's freaking impossible.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I heard a therapist, I think she's maybe, I don't know like the technical differences between like psychologist, therapist, counselor. So I don't mean to downgrade anyone intentionally, but she was talking about trauma in the sense of a book that she was discussing and how you split. So you have like your forward facing self that handles like your day, like you have to, like your day to day, everything that you do, functionality, eating, drinking, sleeping, your relationships that you can manage. And then you have this other self or part of your body physically or psychologically that handles your trauma. And that the idea of therapy is to bring those two things back together so that you're not like a divided soul anymore. Mm-hmm. I know that you're fairly open with the fact that you have gone to therapy or go see a counselor. So I wouldn't want to bring something up that you hadn't already talked about, but
I'm an open book.
And I've tried like a couple of therapists, like at different points in my life, and it just is never, it's just so expensive. And anyway, I'm curious, is that what you feel like your therapy is? And is that the right thing to do? Or should we just leave it? Like, what's the point of putting them together if you're functional?
Like, honestly, I think once you get to the point where it is affecting your daily life.
Okay.
So when you're having instances where, like a friend of ours at work just heard about something that happened in the ER, she wasn't in there. And she talked to me about how she didn't understand, but she was at home. She knew because it was on the news, and she was like having an emotional reaction, even though she was not even in the hospital. She really was experiencing this like overwhelming emotional response. I feel like when you start doing that, it's your brain like telling you, we don't have this figured out. Like you can't straighten it out. Right. Mm-hmm. So I've done EMDR, and EMDR is really like reliving the traumatic event, but in a controlled environment so that you can look at it with a logical mind. Because when you're in the event itself, you have that like fight or flight response and you just react. So the idea behind it is going back to that traumatic event and really looking at it from like an outside perspective and giving yourself grace and understanding why you reacted the way you did.
Okay.
We've talked about it too, that there's this research that says that traumatic events are stored differently in our brain and they aren't forgotten, right? Like everything we do today, we're not going to remember this in 5 years. But if something traumatic happens today, that gets like in our brain forever. And the biology behind that, I think, is just because our brain has to remember that because something really bad happened. And so we have to be prepared next time. So through like counseling and talk therapy and EMDR and all of that, it's looking at those stored memories and telling your brain it's okay. Like that's not happening right now. Thank you for saving it for safekeeping, but we're going to move on from that.
Gotcha. Okay.
And, you know, so you're like, why should we do it?
If you're like, I get from a
right. If you're functioning just fine and it's just, you know, that's your job, then I don't think you have to like go through every traumatic event you've ever experienced. I think it's once it's moved on into a place of being unhealthy.
Okay. That, because like PTSD, if we're talking about that, if like you're having like flashbacks and are unstable and unsafe to yourself and those around, like obviously that makes a lot of sense. But I sort of wonder if like maybe it's supposed to stay in the box. Like that's where you're supposed to put it because that's how you function. You can't like dwell on those things all of the time or else you wouldn't be able to function. So,
that's why therapy, a lot of therapists, they will say like, have like this mental box, like whether it's Tupperware or it's something, and we're going to talk about it like here for this hour, and then we're going to put it away. And if it starts popping up, you can remind yourself, nope, we've put that away. We're not dealing with that right now. And I found that really helpful when you have like intrusive thoughts of like, oh, my child's going to drown in the hot tub, you know? And it's like, no, they're not going to drown in the hot tub. You have locks on it. It's fine. Put that away. And then if it keeps coming up, we'll talk about it. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's important.
Okay. No, I'm not asking to necessarily be judgy like everyone thinks that I am. I'm just asking like, but that like the story that you told of our coworker who I don't know the case or the coworker or anything, but you tell that story. And to me, I'm kind of like, stop being dramatic. Like you weren't even there. And unless it was like your child or like whatever, like the horrific dog bite that we did have a few years ago, I heard about it. I wasn't there. And it seemed like I can rationalize the fact that it was horrible. Right. And I understand that. But I myself am not like, I don't know. Like I wish that I was
there for you, Sam. I'm glad that you're so healthy.
I don't mean it like that. I'm just trying to understand.
No, and I think that's why it's good for you and I to talk about it because we do process emotions very differently. I feel like you are very good at like just putting things to the side. Like that doesn't affect my life. And yes, we may all tell you that means that you're cold, but realistically, that's probably very healthy. And that's the way that we are trying to become of being able to compartmentalize in a healthy way.
I wonder if like the backlash of that is not being able to feel. So
you'll let me know when 10 years go by and.
Well, I mean, I get the reputation. I mean, I get it for a reason. I get the reputation for a reason, which I mean, like, obviously isn't true. Like I feel things, but when I look around and I'm like, I just don't have that. Like, I just don't have that response. Should I like have that? Well, I mean, the passing of my mother was that's still, yeah, that was like a whole ordeal that does like come back. And then I was like, well, maybe I should go to therapy for that. But also, I don't want to talk about it because like that just seems like the worst thing that you could possibly do when you have something heavy is like, talk more. Like you want me to be in that. So why would I do that? That sounds miserable. I'd rather.
Yeah. And it is hard. I mean, therapy isn't something that like I do all the time. It's like, I need 6 months and now I'm going to take a break from.
Oh, really?
Figure myself out. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that you could do it that way.
Yeah. It's like if I see that I'm exhibiting some unhealthy behavior and as a mother and a mature adult, I'm going to go deal with this for a little bit. And then once I get to a place where I feel a little healthier, a little more stable, I'll be like, okay, thank you. I'll see you when the next show happens.
That seems more reasonable. When do we become like, because like you think back to how you were in high school and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I like behaved. Could you like just thinking of the adults like witnessing you, you're just like, oh my Lanta. But I wonder when it flips and when you can, it's got to be what, late 20s maybe, where you can like really look at yourself and be like, oh, I don't like these parts about me, or like these behaviors aren't really healthy. Like I need to edit myself a little bit.
Yeah, I think that it's probably different for everyone. I mean, we know some people in our personal lives that never get to that point, right?
I guess that's true.
I don't know. I think for me, it was having children really changed my perspective on myself because it was like, oh, it's not all about me anymore. And I think that's like a big awakening because I feel like myself in my early 20s, I mean, the things that I got upset about now, I'm just like, wow, you are ridiculous. Grow up.
I remember calling pharmacy when I was like a baby nurse and having an absolute conniption fit because they sent like a pre-mixed Rocephin or something in D5 for my diabetic patient. And I was just like, don't you understand? They're diabetic. I'm not going to give them 50 mLs of, D5 pre-mixed. I need this in NS. And I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, you needed a Xanax. Yeah.
And the person on the other end was rolling their eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Now you would just be like, hey, do you mind remixing this for me?
I wouldn't even ask. I'm like, that's just how Rocephin comes. Yeah. And like, if it spikes your blood sugar, then I guess I'll just give you more insulin. D50, did I say D50? D5. No, D5. Yeah. It's just like,
and we've talked about that a lot, like the tantrums, right? And I feel like we're all in different phases of our life. We've all experienced different things. And as an older nurse that has a lot of experience, yes, I look at a lot of the tantrums and I'm like, you're being ridiculous. But to them, it's the biggest thing that's happened in their life so far. And maybe I should roll my eyes.
Then there are things that I'm like, I'm so sorry. This won't be tolerated. Like, this is a big deal. And I'm not sure why you don't understand that it's not, like, or that it is a big deal. But, okay. Well, I mean, I probably could go to therapy, or it might just crumble the very delicate house of cards that is my psyche. And that seems maybe
scary.
Like
it is
a high risk, low reward situation.
Well, and you also have a very healthy support system at home. You have a very supportive husband. You have, I know you're very close with your dad and you have great friends and community. And I feel like people that don't have that obviously have a higher risk of falling down the hole.
And I have a very like medical adjacent, like my mom was a nurse. And so my dad, like, gets it. Right. Yeah. Like, so, and Philip has been very amazing in being married to a nurse. So you're right. I have what would you call that? Like, I don't know, like nurse, supportive kind of like they particularly understand the explosions and the exhaustion and the just, no talking about GI stuff at the table rules, which is annoying. But
and I think that we've talked a lot about this too, and we could probably do a whole episode on it, but I think that's why we get bonded to each other so closely at the workplace. if you want to start talking a little bit about trauma bonding. And, Chad, my husband, last week we had a really horrible abuse case, and I came home and just, the blank face, like it was a rough night. I don't want to talk about it. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like,
exactly right.
And he had the balls to ask me why I don't leave. He's like, why do you still work there? There's 100 other jobs you could do. And I'm just like, don't ask me that.
Yeah.
I love my job, as I'm crying. But I think the reason that we stay is that we do share that with each other. Like we are very connected to the people that we work with because we've lived those shared traumatic experiences.
Oh, I don't stay for my coworkers.
Not even me?
No. Well, okay. So I remember talking to you about this, and you threw out the term trauma bonding, and I maybe had the exact opposite reaction that I had to the reaction of vicarious trauma, which was like, but trauma bonding, I was like, oh my gosh, that is why. So very early on in my career, I really noticed that, nurses become your friend, like nurse friends become friends so quickly. Mm-hmm. And I always just assumed it was because we spend 12 hours side by side, and then you chit chat and you get to know. But Philip's always been like, yeah, but you guys know intimate things about each other's lives. Like we all know what's going on with our husbands and with our children and with our in-laws and where we're going on vacation. We know all the things.
Yeah.
And it's always so why is it that we open up, relatively quickly and form relatively deep connections? And I just thought it was time. But when you said trauma bonding, I was like, oh, we experience the same things, and we have to bear witness to so much of the same things and rely on each other in these really intense situations. And I think trauma bonding allows me to keep doing my job. I go to my job because somebody has to do the ugly things like we were talking about, and I'm particularly suited to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to do that so that someone else doesn't have to. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I like the trauma bonding idea. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. It can be healthy and unhealthy. I feel like what keeps us coming back is each other. We've talked about coming in, seeing that you're with the dream team, and it's oh, my besties are here, and I have a doctor that I love, and anything can walk in that door and we're actually going to have a great time.
Yeah. Yes.
Even when you're taking care of, dying, horrible things. Right.
Yeah.
And that's bizarre for people that don't work in healthcare to understand that. But I think it's because we have been through those experiences together. We've gone on the battlefield together, and we've come out of it, and we have a shared experience that really nobody else outside of that room can understand. Mm-hmm. And I think that bonds us in a way that is really rare outside of healthcare.
Because I think you're right. And I see it when it doesn't work. So or when it's not there. So that I'm in that group, our environment and little microcosm. And then I go do homeschool land and spend full days with other lovely women that are none of them ER nurses, and they, live on their farms or are stay-at-home moms raising their family, and lots but I struggle in a lot of ways to really form the connections that I have at work, or even know what to talk about sometimes, because so much of how I see the world and how we're talking about, I see problems and I see things that are issues or things that matter are really based around what matters when I'm in the ER or what matters when I'm a nurse. And it's
really hard to develop those connections on the same level. And then I start to think, do those people, those people outside of healthcare or outside of first responders or however you want to say it, do they ever develop the types of deep connections that we do? Like, do we have something really special through that trauma bond?
I mean, I think that I think that everyone has the capacity, and like definitely specifically in our little like co-op kind of thing that we do, the moms are very like, and I can see it from the outside because I'm not totally, they have like a very close, and they text each, like there's a lot of stuff. So I can see that they have like a close friendship, and it's very positive and it's very healthy. It's just like sometimes we talk about it and they're like, oh, well, Sam, how are you? What's going on in your life? And it's like, well, let me tell you about this crazy shift I had. And that's just like not. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what you're talking about, how like trauma bonding can be unhealthy. Maybe when we're not able to have a connection any other way. Would that be an example of that?
Yeah, I think, or when you get to the point where you've reached your capacity and maybe it is time for you to leave. I feel like that's maybe really particularly difficult for people that are bonded to people as strongly as we are. Like that's holding you there when it's no longer the right place for you to be.
Gotcha.
Like you're burnt out. You probably should find another job. You're compassion fatigued, but you've gone through so much with these group that it's hard to leave.
Gotcha. I wonder if I've seen that at all. I don't know that I've seen anybody. I'm trying to think of like the nurses that I've worked with that haven't just pieced out, but only because of. Well,
and maybe that's what they're showing us is right. They've just hit that limit and they're like, bye. But like in their own world that exists beyond us. They've been reaching that point for a long time. Because I think that's also unique in ER is that we do just hit a point where we're like, nope, I'm done.
I can't do it anymore. Yeah.
That's very few people that just get to retirement age in the ER.
Yeah, I can see that. I took 2 maybe, and some change. No, maybe less than that. Well, like I stopped working ER full time and just went like once a week, and then took probably like 6 months totally off of the ER. And I didn't realize how heavy it is to go to work. And I wonder if, MedSurg feels the same way. We'll have to like get some feedback on that, or maybe it just doesn't feel as, I was anxious before I went to work. I didn't realize that until I stopped. Until I stopped working the ER. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not like nervous about what's going to come in our shift and like worried if we can handle it. When I worked in the transfer center, because all I did was answer phones.
And it's just this physical feeling of anxiety.
Yes.
And, I had to leave PICU when I was experiencing that. And I was going through a lot of personal stuff. Like I had several miscarriages while I was there. I had like a lot of drama, just family stuff. And that's where I say, like, if I went back to PICU now, I think I'd be fine. But because of where I was in my life and what I was going into, I was like having panic attacks before going into work. And it was my husband who was like, you have to leave. Like, you can't keep doing this. Like, I couldn't even make that decision on my own. Right. And once he said it, I was like, you're right. I got to go. Bye. My husband said so.
I think it was Philip too. That was like, you've lost all of your compassion. I think, cause there was a job offer that I had to move into informatics before we moved up here. And I was like, should I do it? Like, I love the ER. And he's like, I think that you hate people now that you've worked in the ER for 5 years in this small town that we live in. And I think you should take a break. And he was right. And I didn't even realize. I was like, oh, actually, yes, I have some of my compassion back for just the human experience that I had definitely like lost. Bearing witness, like, to what we talked about, to just the roughest of the rough, and then just the most tragic situations. That's what we do day in and day out.
Yeah, it is shocking to me that even if you take like a 2-week vacation, I don't think a week off is a vacation. I think a week off is like, whatever, that's a long stretch. But if you're off for like 2 weeks, I know, our hospital is downtown and it's visible by the freeway. Like I'll be driving past the hospital and look up and be like, oh, look, it's still running 24/7 and I haven't been there and it feels amazing.
They didn't need me. Oh, isn't that like such the lie of the hospital? I would imagine that every nurse has felt this at some point. It's like, oh, but they need help. Like it's weird. It's so weird. You're like, I have to go in and help. And then the reality hits you. You're like, wait a second. It has been functioning 24/7 for decades. And I haven't been here. Yeah. But I think it wants you in as if it is its own thing. But kind of like, I think that it wants you to think that. I think that that's part of the game.
Yeah. And that's like the unhealthy part of the trauma bond of the hospital itself, gaslighting you into thinking that you are necessary.
Who better of a group of people to play it on than
caregivers.
Because we want nothing more than to be needed.
Yes. And they do. They just gaslight us with the constant, you live the mission and the freaking Daisy Awards that nobody ever gets that deserves them. And
I know a nurse that has 2, and I've never once been nominated for a Daisy Award.
I know. I always say that I'm going to get the Dandelion Award. I'm just like,
I got a Daisy Award. I'm so sorry. I got a Daisy Award from some of our techs a few weeks ago for doing tech work instead of actual nursing jobs. So
how sweet is that?
Yeah, that was nice of them. We are kind of coming up on time. I was interested a little bit in talking about the scale that we had done together, and how there is that it's such a continuum without going into too much of it. Like there's just, there's burnout, there's vicarious trauma, there's PTSD, and then there's really like how susceptible are you to those things based on, I don't know, your present disposition in many ways. And I think you brought that up talking about stages of life and your own like mental health at home, and just that it's important to keep those things in mind, that nursing is a profession, as one of our colleagues likes to say. I think in a lot of ways it's a calling for so many of us, but it is not our only identity, even though, if you're like, oh, Kelly Booth, tell me something about you. What is the first thing that comes out of your mouth?
I'm an ER nurse.
Yes, me too. But it doesn't.
Because there's pride in it. And I think the pride comes from the fact that we've seen some stuff. Like we have walked through it. And for better or worse, I am proud of that fact, and that I'm still standing and I'm in my scrubs right now and going to work tonight, but it is, I think what you're trying to say and what I want people to know is that it is dynamic, right? Like when you were going through stuff with your mom, you are at really high risk of burning out. And because you cannot mentally take that on. And I think that we just need to remember to be gracious with ourselves, gracious with our coworkers, because really, even though we are truly bonded, we don't know exactly what's going on in people's lives. And that one situation that, Sam is like, oh my God, buck up and put on your big girl panties, might be extremely traumatic to that person for some unknown reason.
Yes. Yes, you are right. And I would also like to say, I think part of the community, part of our job as a community, though, is to identify those moments and give them support, but also tap them out, even if it's involuntarily. And me, I always go back to like, our job is to take care of the patient. So if it is too much, there's no shame in tapping out of that moment and saying, like, this is just not a patient that I can care for. This is not a job that I can do right now. And then working on being able to do either changing departments so that you can do your job, or just working on being able to do those hard things. We were discussing the other day at our manager came in and we were just kind of like sharing horror stories. And one of the things that I brought up was, in the moment, it's very easy to do. in the moment, I have no problem. I am not tearful. I'm not choking up. I'm not, I'm not seeing with the same eyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
What it is. And we were talking about, when does it hit you? And most of us are like, when we see our own kids. And I was like, oh yeah, my kids FaceTimed me that day because I was late getting home. And I was like, I can't look at you right now because of what I just went through.
Yeah.
And just how we manage that. But yes, it is a continuum. I think it's dynamic. You're right. That's a better word. And yeah, I can be more compassionate to my coworkers about that. But it is an identity, and it is pride. There is so much pride in it. And I totally agree with you. I just wonder sometimes if it's risky to have it be the biggest percentage of who I am, because maybe someday I won't be. And how will I handle it? And also, like, is it the most correct thing is that the right way to be?
Yeah, that's deep, Sam.
Sorry. Okay.
Deep. It's like, what happens when I think this all the time? Like, what happens when I retire? Like, do I still have the ability to live outside of that, outside of the nursing environment?
Yeah.
Have I built those relationships outside of work? Do I have hobbies? I think there's a lot of nurses that don't even have hobbies anymore because they're so constantly stressed out that your days off are really just recharging for the next shift.
Yeah. And what am I going to do with my mind? I mean, so much of it, like, what am I going to think about? What am I going to read about?
What am I going to poke?
Oh.
What happens when I can't poke people anymore?
Listen, it's summertime and my boys' arms are out and they're running around and they're all tan. And I'm just like, please, can I just, it's so big and it's so juicy. Just
cover your veins.
They're my own children. And it doesn't bother me one iota. Philip's like, you would poke our own children with a needle? I'm like, 100%.
Yeah.
You don't even ask me twice because I will.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. What's going to challenge us when it's not this job? And I don't know the answer to that yet, or we'll just die, being nurses. So
we'll just retire and then get cancer and die.
Yeah. Well, it usually goes the cancer, retire, the die, but
right.
Yeah. No. Man. Well,
we went dark.
I deal with it. I just make a joke and then move on. No therapy needed.
Yeah. That's what we do at the nurses station, right? Little plug there.
Plug. Oh, okay. I don't know that I have did you want to do a couple questions really fast?
I don't know. This was kind of heavy stuff. So for our listeners, I think, let us know what you think, how you respond to trauma. I guess our idea behind this episode was just to start the conversation, because I feel like sometimes it's not talked about, and I want people to feel like they're normal if they're feeling this way. And talk to your coworkers. I bet you're all going through it.
Mm-hmm. And that those things stick with you. And that's normal for all of us. We all remember our first whatever or the most. And that's, that's okay. They're supposed to stick with you because they're heavy. And I don't know, I'd like to be encouraging to those that sacrifice their, I don't know, carrying capabilities to do it for others. I mean, we love ER, of course, but it happens all over the caregiver land. And just know that you are taking on something for your community, for other humans. And that is that's an honor. And that's also a sacrifice. And we're appreciative of it. I know they're not all heroes wear capes, which I think is stupid. And I hate all of that dumb crap. And it pisses me off. I'm just this is dumb. But the other part of it is just just thank you, because it is a sacrifice that we all make in our own psyche to be the ones that deal with the ugly that not everybody has to do. And that's appreciated because it's hard.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
I was just going to say that if you're not a healthcare worker listening to this, be nice to us. We have really, really hard jobs.
Oh my gosh.
And I am so sick of getting yelled at by stupid patients and families. Like, I am trying my best. Like, be nice to us.
I thought you were meaning like out in the world. Like, if you're my waiter, be nice to me because I'm a nurse.
No. You don't need to be nice to me just because I'm a nurse. Like, I'm still a bitch a lot of the time. But if I am your nurse, be nice to me, because I am not a bitch when I am your nurse. I am trying my best to take care of you or your loved one. And it is really hard. And what I would say drives nurses away the majority of the time is the way that they're treated. Yeah. And we give, if you listen to this episode, we give so much of ourselves to our profession. And I just wish people would recognize that and, just be nice.
And you really are. You are so nice. I mean, you are one of the people that when I'm like, I can't connect with this family. Like, we are and the communication is not happening and they are not happy. And I mean, like, you're definitely one of those nurses. I'm like, I just need you to come in with me, like, resolve this situation. Like, you're so caring and compassionate, and you do such a good job with all walks of life. Like, you have no judgment. And so, yeah. So when people are rude to you, I'm always just like, you got the redheaded one. You could have had me walk in the room. And I would just stare at you blankly while you ask me some stupid question like that. Yeah, and just say, okay. Like, so yeah, that's always mind boggling to me, but you're right. Also, like, what is it? You get more you get more flies with honey.
Yeah. How does that go? You'll catch a fly with honey?
Oh, I thought then, no, I think it's you get more flies
with honey than ketchup.
Than ketchup. I think it's technically vinegar, but I don't know that the saying is always completed.
I'm sure someone will tell us.
Yeah, I'm sure someone will. But anyway, yes. Okay, since you're wearing pink on Wednesday, yes. What is your favorite, like, high school drama over the top? I don't know. What is it, like, what's the name for those movies? They're not rom-coms exactly, but like.
Oh, like high school movie?
Yeah.
Well, now I'm just stuck because I'm wearing pink. I will say I did love Mean Girls. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. I like Mean Girls too. It's not a movie for children or high schoolers. Mm-hmm. I think it's way inappropriate. It's funny. I like 10 Things I Hate About You. That's probably my favorite.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Heath Ledger. Okay. That wins. Please sing to me.
Yeah, that's exactly and you can take me off of a table drunk dancing any day. If that's what I have to do, if I have to get drunk and dance on a table at a party to get Heath Ledger to come take me on a date, I would make that sacrifice, I think.
Do you know what really irritates me about that movie, though? What? Is that she bonks her head and he tries to keep her awake. And he's like, you have to stay awake. That's not a real thing, people. People with concussions, you can go to sleep. We get so many people that come in and they're like, I've been trying to keep them awake. I'm like, it's not going to change anything. If they fall asleep, they're not going into a coma. And if they do, they would do it whether you slap them in the face or not. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, tangent.
Well, I mean, but if I only get a limited amount of time with Heath Ledger, please, sir, keep me awake. Oh. I do not want to be asleep if you're on a swing next to me.
Well, he's not with us anymore, right?
Yeah, I'm aware, but still. Okay.
In high school land.
The sentiment is there. I know see the tragedies that we have to deal with. Okay. Yes, we are 100% at time, but we will be back in a week with more stuff. Visit us on the socials. We're there, and we will save you a seat at the nurse's station.
Bye. Hey guys, this is Kelly from At the Nurse's Station. Sam and I would like to remind you that the views and opinions expressed on this podcast are strictly our own and do not in any way reflect the position of our employers. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and in no way should be considered medical advice. As always, consult a qualified medical provider for questions regarding your health or medical conditions. We hope you have fun listening to us today, and we'll see you next time at the Nurse's Station.